Have you ever been in a conversation where someone suddenly asked, "Tell me about yourself," and your mind went completely blank? You know who you are, but somehow finding the right words in English feels impossible. If you've ever experienced that awkward silence, today's episode is exactly what you need. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Ramya, the place where you improve your English naturally through real-life conversations and powerful speaking practice. I'm so happy you're here today. Today's topic is Tell Me About Yourself at the C1 and C2 English level. This isn't about memorizing a perfect introduction. It's about learning how confident English speakers express their personality, experiences, values, and ambitions in a natural and engaging way. So find a comfortable place, relax, and let's begin. One of the most fascinating questions in any language is surprisingly simple. Tell me about yourself. It sounds easy because you've lived your entire life with yourself. Yet for many English learners, and honestly even native speakers, this question can feel unexpectedly challenging. Why? Because introducing yourself isn't simply listing your name, your age, or your job. At an advanced level, it's an opportunity to reveal your character, your perspective, and the experiences that have shaped you. If someone asked me to describe myself, I probably wouldn't begin with facts. Facts are important, but they rarely make people remember you. Instead, I would begin with something meaningful. I'd say that I'm someone who is deeply curious about people and ideas. I've always believed that every conversation, no matter how ordinary it appears, has the potential to teach us something valuable. Whether I'm talking to a close friend, meeting someone for the first time, or simply observing the world around me, I'm constantly learning. Curiosity has influenced almost every decision I've made. Rather than accepting things exactly as they are, I naturally ask questions. Why do people behave differently under pressure? Why do some individuals remain optimistic even during difficult times? Why do certain words inspire confidence while others create misunderstanding? These questions have encouraged me to become a lifelong learner. One lesson I've discovered over the years is that knowledge becomes truly meaningful only when it's shared. That's one of the reasons I enjoy communicating in English. English isn't just another subject or another language. It's a bridge. It connects people from different countries, cultures, professions, and backgrounds. Every time we improve our communication skills, we open another door that was previously closed. Of course, my journey hasn't always been smooth. Like everyone else, I've experienced moments of self-doubt. There were times when I questioned whether I was capable enough, whether I was improving quickly enough, or whether I was simply expecting too much for myself. Those thoughts are surprisingly common. The difference isn't that confident people never feel uncertain. The difference is that they continue moving forward despite their uncertainty. That's a lesson I've tried to carry with me in every aspect of life. Another important part of who I am is my love for continuous improvement. I don't believe perfection is the goal. Growth is. Every book I read, every meaningful conversation I have, every mistake I make, and every challenge I overcome teaches me something new about myself. Looking back, I realized that many of my greatest lessons came from situations that initially felt like failures. Sometimes disappointment becomes the best teacher. Sometimes rejection redirects us toward better opportunities. Sometimes slowing down gives us the clarity we couldn't find while rushing. If I had to describe my personality in just a few words, I would choose these: curious, open-minded, patient, resilient, and optimistic. Not because life is always easy, but because I've learned that optimism is a decision we make repeatedly, especially when circumstances become difficult. I also enjoy meaningful conversations. I'm far more interested in discussing dreams, personal growth, travel, books, psychology, languages, or life experiences than spending hours talking about things that don't really matter. I believe that conversations shape relationships. The questions we ask often matter more than the answers we give. That's why I always try to listen carefully before speaking. Listening is one of the most underrated communication skills. People naturally appreciate someone who genuinely pays attention instead of simply waiting for their own turn to speak. If there's one thing I hope people remember after meeting me, it isn't my achievements or my qualifications. I hope they remember how they felt during our conversation. Did they feel respected? Did they feel understood? Did they feel comfortable expressing themselves? Because in the end, people may forget the exact words we say, but they rarely forget the emotions we create. To me, that's what introducing yourself is really about. It's not presenting a perfect version of yourself. It's allowing people to see the authentic person behind the words. Send part 2 whenever you're ready.
If I continue introducing myself, I think one of the most defining parts of my personality is my mindset toward change. Sometimes opportunities appear when we least expect them, and sometimes the paths we were certain about suddenly disappear. Years ago, I would have found that frightening. Today, I see it differently. I believe change is one of life's greatest teachers. Every new experience, every unexpected challenge, and every unfamiliar situation gives us a chance to discover strengths we never knew we had. That doesn't mean I always feel confident. Like everyone else, I have moments of uncertainty. There are days when I question my decisions, wonder if I'm making enough progress, or compare myself with people who seem to be moving much faster. Comparison is surprisingly easy in today's world. We're constantly surrounded by stories of success, achievements, promotions, and exciting adventures. What we rarely see are the countless hours of effort, disappointment, rejection, and persistence behind those success stories. That's why I've learned to compare myself only with the person I was yesterday. If I've become a little wiser, a little kinder, or a little more knowledgeable than before, then I'm moving in the right direction. Another quality that describes me is adaptability. I genuinely enjoy learning new skills. Whether it's improving my communication, exploring another culture, reading about psychology, understanding technology, or discovering different ways people think, I'm always excited to learn something new. I don't believe education ends when we leave school or university. Real education continues throughout life. Every conversation becomes a classroom. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. If someone asked about my strengths, I wouldn't immediately mention technical skills or academic achievements. Instead, I'd say one of my greatest strengths is my willingness to keep learning. Knowledge changes quickly. The world changes quickly. People change. The ability to adapt and continue learning is becoming more valuable than simply knowing all the answers. Sometimes the smartest person in the room isn't the one who knows everything. It's the one who's willing to ask thoughtful questions. I also believe kindness is an underrated strength. Many people confuse kindness with weakness. I disagree completely. Being kind requires patience. It requires emotional intelligence. It requires choosing understanding over judgment, even when it's easier to criticize. I've met incredibly successful people whose greatest quality wasn't their intelligence. It was the way they treated others. They listened carefully. They respected different opinions. They made people feel valued. Those qualities leave a lasting impression. Outside of work or study, I enjoy activities that help me grow both mentally and emotionally. Reading is one of them. Books allow us to experience lives we've never lived and understand perspectives we've never considered. A single book can completely change the way we think. I also enjoy spending quiet moments reflecting on my experiences. Sometimes the best ideas arrive during peaceful walks, while watching the sunset, or simply sitting with a cup of coffee and allowing my thoughts to settle. In a world that's always moving faster, slowing down has become a valuable skill. Ironically, some of my best decisions were made after I stopped rushing. Another important part of who I am is resilience. Life doesn't become easier just because we become older. Every stage brings different responsibilities and different challenges. The difference is that experience teaches us how to respond more calmly. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I try to ask, what is this experience trying to teach me? That simple change in perspective often transforms frustration into growth. I also value meaningful relationships. I don't believe success should only be measured by achievements or financial stability. Success also includes having people you trust, conversations that inspire you, and relationships built on honesty and respect. No accomplishment feels truly satisfying if there's no one to share it with. If you spend time with me, you'd probably notice that I enjoy listening just as much as speaking. Everyone has a story. Everyone has dreams, fears, victories, and struggles that aren't immediately visible. When we genuinely listen, we discover that people are often much more interesting than our first impression suggests.
that's one reason I love conversations. They're an endless source of learning. As I continue growing, I don't hope to become someone completely different. Instead, I hope to become a better version of who I already am. More patient, more confident, more compassionate, more courageous when facing uncertainty, and more grateful for both the ordinary and extraordinary moments that life offers. Because in the end, our identity isn't created by one single achievement or one perfect introduction. It's created by the choices we make every single day, the values we live by, and the way we continue evolving throughout our lives.
As I think more deeply about who I am, I realize that my identity isn't defined by a single moment, a job title, or even my accomplishments. It's defined by the values I choose to live by every day. If I had to choose one value that guides my life, it would be integrity. To me, integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It means keeping your promises, admitting your mistakes, and treating people with the same respect regardless of their background or status. I've learned that trust is one of the most valuable things a person can earn. It isn't built overnight. It's created through small actions repeated consistently over time. Sometimes it's as simple as arriving on time. Sometimes it's remembering a promise you made weeks ago. And sometimes it's standing beside someone when everyone else has walked away. Those quiet moments often reveal a person's true character. Another quality that has shaped me is perseverance. People often admire success, but they rarely see the countless moments when someone wanted to quit. I've experienced days when nothing seemed to go according to plan. There were goals that took much longer than I expected. There were opportunities I missed. There were mistakes that left me feeling disappointed. At the time, those moments felt like setbacks. Looking back, they were actually lessons in disguise. Each challenge taught me something valuable: patience, discipline, humility, and perhaps most importantly, the courage to begin again. I've come to understand that failure isn't the opposite of success. More often than not, it's part of the journey toward success. Every successful person has faced rejection, criticism, or disappointment. The difference is that they didn't allow those experiences to define their future. Instead, they treated them as stepping stones. That perspective has changed the way I approach life. Instead of fearing mistakes, I try to learn from them. Instead of avoiding challenges, I try to embrace them, because growth usually begins where comfort ends. Another aspect of my personality is curiosity about different cultures and perspectives. One of the reasons I enjoy speaking English is that it allows me to connect with people from all around the world. Every culture has unique traditions, beliefs, and ways of seeing life. The more we learn about others, the more open-minded we become. I've realized that understanding someone doesn't mean you always have to agree with them. It simply means you're willing to listen before making assumptions. That ability has become increasingly important in today's interconnected world. I also believe that communication is far more than speaking fluently. It's about making people feel heard. The best communicators aren't necessarily the ones who use the most advanced vocabulary. They're the ones who know how to express ideas clearly, listen with empathy, and respond with sincerity. Whenever I have a conversation, I try to focus not only on what I want to say, but also on what the other person is truly trying to express. Sometimes people don't need advice. Sometimes they simply need someone who listens without interrupting. One habit that has helped me grow is self-reflection. At the end of many days, I like to ask myself a few simple questions. What did I learn today? Did I become a little wiser? Did I treat people with kindness? Did I make decisions that aligned with my values? These questions don't always have perfect answers, but they remind me that personal growth is an ongoing process rather than a final destination. Life doesn't hand us a report card at the end of each day. We have to evaluate ourselves honestly, and honesty with ourselves is often the first step toward meaningful improvement. I also admire people who remain humble despite their achievements. The more knowledgeable someone becomes, the more they usually realize how much there is still to learn. True confidence doesn't need to prove itself constantly. It speaks calmly, it listens patiently, and it respects different opinions without feeling threatened by them. That's the kind of confidence I hope to develop throughout my life. If someone remembers me years from now, I don't hope they remember me only because of something I accomplished. I hope they remember the conversations we shared, the encouragement I offered when they needed it, the respect I showed, the kindness I tried to practice. Because in the end, our legacy isn't measured only by what we achieve. It's also measured by the positive impact we leave on the lives of others. So if someone asks me, "Tell me about yourself," my answer goes far beyond facts and achievements. I'm someone who believes that learning never truly ends, someone who values honesty over appearances, someone who sees challenges as opportunities to grow, someone who believes that every meaningful conversation has the power to change us, even in small ways.
And above all, I'm simply a person who continues to learn, evolve, and strive to become a little better with each passing day. Perhaps that's the most honest introduction anyone can give. Not a list of accomplishments, but a reflection of the values, experiences, and hopes that shape the person they are becoming. Ready for part 4?
As I continue introducing myself, I think one of the most meaningful things about me is that I'm still becoming the person I want to be. Sometimes people believe they have to reach a certain level of success before they can feel proud of themselves. I don't see life that way anymore. I've learned that becoming is just as important as achieving. Every single day gives us another opportunity to improve, not by making dramatic changes overnight, but through small, consistent actions. Those quiet efforts often create the biggest transformations. One lesson that has completely changed my perspective is this: life is not a competition. For a long time, I believed I had to keep up with everyone else. If someone my age achieved something impressive, I wondered why I wasn't there yet. If someone seemed more confident, more talented, or more successful, I questioned my own progress. But eventually I realized something important. We're all reading different books. Comparing page 20 of your story with page 80 of someone else's story will never be fair. Everyone begins from a different place. Everyone carries different responsibilities. Everyone faces challenges that others may never see. Once I understood that, I stopped rushing through life. I started appreciating my own journey instead. One thing I truly enjoy is setting meaningful goals. Not because I want to impress other people, but because goals give direction to my life. Without direction, it's easy to become busy without actually making progress. Whenever I set a goal, I try to focus not only on the outcome, but also on the habits that will help me reach it. After all, success is rarely the result of one extraordinary day. It's usually the result of hundreds of ordinary days filled with discipline and consistency. I also believe that confidence grows through action. Many people wait until they feel confident before trying something new. Ironically, confidence usually comes afterward. The first speech feels uncomfortable. The first interview feels intimidating. The first presentation feels stressful. But each experience teaches us something valuable. Every small step makes the next one a little easier. That's why I've learned not to wait until I feel completely ready. Sometimes the best way to grow is simply to begin. Another part of my personality is gratitude. I've discovered that grateful people don't necessarily have easier lives. They've simply learned to notice what others often overlook: a meaningful conversation, a supportive friend, a peaceful morning, a lesson learned from failure, a new opportunity hidden inside uncertainty. Gratitude doesn't erase problems. It changes the way we experience them. I also try to stay open-minded. The older I become, the more I realize that no one has all the answers. Every person I meet knows something I don't. That idea keeps me humble. Whether I'm speaking with a child, a teacher, a colleague, or someone from a completely different culture, I believe there's always something valuable to learn. Curiosity makes life endlessly interesting. Another quality I value deeply is emotional intelligence. Being intelligent is important, but understanding emotions, both our own and those of others, is equally valuable. Words carry power. A few kind words can encourage someone who feels discouraged. A sincere compliment can brighten an ordinary day. A patient conversation can repair a misunderstanding. That's why I try to choose my words carefully, not because I want to sound impressive, but because I want my words to leave a positive impact. When I think about the future, I don't imagine a perfect life. Perfection has never been my goal. Instead, I hope for a meaningful life. A life where I continue learning, a life where I help others whenever I can, a life filled with curiosity, purpose, and genuine human connections. Because achievements eventually become memories, but the kindness we show and the lives we touch often remain long after the moment has passed. If someone asked me what success truly means, my answer would probably surprise them. Success isn't only about titles, awards, or recognition. To me, success means waking up with purpose, having the courage to keep learning, remaining kind even when life becomes difficult, and ending each day knowing I tried to become a slightly better person than I was yesterday. So, when I introduce myself, I don't want people to remember only my profession or my accomplishments. I hope they remember my attitude, my willingness to learn, my respect for others, my optimism during difficult moments, and my belief that every conversation has the potential to inspire growth for both the speaker and the listener. After all, our identity isn't written in a single sentence. It's written in the choices we make, the values we protect, the relationships we build, and the way we continue moving forward.
even when the path ahead is uncertain. And that perhaps is the most authentic way I can tell someone about myself.
As I reach the end of this introduction, I realize something quite interesting. If someone asks me, "Tell me about yourself," there will never be one perfect answer. Because every day, we're learning something new. Every experience changes us a little. Every conversation teaches us something we didn't know before. And every challenge shapes the person we're becoming. Perhaps that's the beauty of being human. We're never completely finished. We're always evolving. When I was younger, I believed people reached a point where they had everything figured out. Now I know that's rarely true. Even the wisest people continue asking questions. Even the most successful people continue learning. Even the most confident people still experience moments of doubt. The difference is that they don't allow those doubts to control their lives. Instead, they choose progress over perfection. If I could describe myself in one sentence, I would probably say this: I'm someone who believes that life is a continuous journey of learning, growing, and becoming a better human being. That sentence feels honest, because no matter where I go or what I achieve, I never want to lose my curiosity. I never want to stop asking meaningful questions. I never want to stop improving the way I think, communicate, and treat other people. I believe every person has a story worth telling. Some stories are filled with remarkable achievements. Others are quiet stories of resilience, stories of people who faced difficulties but refused to give up, stories of ordinary individuals who performed extraordinary acts of kindness without expecting recognition. Those stories inspire me the most. They remind me that greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes greatness appears in the smallest actions: helping someone who needs support, encouraging a friend who has lost confidence, listening without judging, keeping your word when it's inconvenient, choosing honesty when dishonesty seems easier. These moments may never become headlines, but they reveal the true character of a person. Another thing I'd like people to know about me is that I genuinely enjoy meaningful conversations. I believe conversations can change lives. One sentence can inspire someone to chase a dream. One question can encourage deep reflection. One piece of advice can completely transform someone's perspective. That's why I never underestimate the power of words. Words can build confidence. Words can create opportunities. Words can heal relationships. And sometimes words spoken at the right moment become memories that stay with us forever. Ironically, that's one of the reasons I love learning English. For me, English isn't simply a language. It's an opportunity. An opportunity to connect with people from different countries, to understand different cultures, to exchange ideas, to express thoughts more clearly, and to discover friendships that would have been impossible without communication. Language opens doors that talent alone sometimes cannot. As I think about the future, I don't expect every day to be easy. There will always be unexpected challenges. There will be moments when plans don't work, moments when success takes longer than expected, moments when life asks us to be patient. But I've learned that difficult seasons don't last forever. They prepare us for the opportunities that lie ahead. Every obstacle teaches resilience. Every mistake teaches wisdom. Every ending quietly prepares us for a new beginning. If there's one message I'd like to leave with anyone listening today, it's this: never believe that your current situation defines your future. Your past may explain where you've been. It doesn't decide where you're going. Your habits matter more than your excuses. Your determination matters more than your fears. And your willingness to keep learning matters more than temporary setbacks. The person you become tomorrow is shaped by the decisions you make today. So if someone asks me once again, "Tell me about yourself," my answer would be simple. I'm a lifelong learner, a curious thinker, someone who values honesty, kindness, and meaningful relationships, someone who believes that success is measured not only by achievements, but also by growth, character, and the positive impact we leave on others. Most importantly, I'm someone who still has dreams to pursue, lessons to learn, people to meet, and countless reasons to keep moving forward with hope. And maybe that's the most beautiful introduction any of us can give. Not a perfect list of accomplishments, but an honest reflection of who we are today while remaining excited about who we can become tomorrow. Thank you so much for spending these moments with me. I truly hope this monologue helped you learn new expressions, improve your English, and more importantly, inspired you to speak with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Learn English with Ramya for more advanced English listening and speaking practice. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. Until next time, take care and have a wonderful day.